Hi, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be telling the truth about men. And we're going to be talking about men, telling the truth about men from a couple of different lens or viewpoints. So it's not just talking about men and who they are and the things that they do, but I'm also going to be talking about a lot of the pushback that happens when you tell the truth about men. So I'm going to be weaving in a couple of different things. I don't really know the direction this video was going to go. I don't have notes or anything. This was just inspired by a funny comment that I read on my Instagram page from a woman who was really upset by what I posted about men. And so we're going to be getting into that today. But before I get started, I want to just take a moment to thank you for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I've been posting videos every day for the last 7 or 8 days. And already the feedback has been so incredible. And I'm just really grateful for everybody that has been watching, who's been engaging, leaving comments, asking me questions, even pushing back or challenging some of the things that I've been saying in my videos recently. And I'm just very, very grateful. And I'm having a good time doing this. So as long as I'm having fun, I'm going to keep showing up and keep doing this for you guys. Well, it's not just for you guys, it's for me too. But yeah, so telling the truth about men. Like I said, this was inspired by a comment that I received last night, and I'm just going to go ahead and read that comment to you and then just see where it flows from that point. But it just cracked me up, and then I realized last night when I read this, I was like, I need to do a video about this because I'm tired of getting comments like this. So what this woman said, this is from a woman, she says, "This is BS." She didn't say BS. She wrote out the whole word. And it's a post that I just made a couple days ago where it's a carousel. So you can go to my Instagram page and check it out. But the very first slide on the carousel says, "Men aren't addicted to sex. Men are addicted to a woman's power." And I break all of that down in the post. And I might read a little bit more of it as I'm expanding on today's topic. But what she said in response to my post is, "Stop tearing men down to build women up. Women glow up after a breakup, oftentimes because they lack boundaries and overgive in relationships. They put his needs first and then wonder why it didn't work. Men look like shit after a breakup because they are devastated. This whole idea of men literally siphoning our life force is toxic and fantastical. Divine feminine and our feminine energy is lovely and all, but we are all human and one is not better than the other." So just for a little bit of context regarding this post, I talk about how men are addicted to a woman's power and how men use the physical intimacy exchange or sexual energy exchange in order to receive and siphon a woman's power, because the womb space, which I talked about in a previous video where I talk about your womb, is the seat of your wisdom. It's the seat of your intuition. It's your creative center. It's where all of your ideas, creations, everything that you're going to birth into this life, whether it's a physical baby or physical creations, ideas, manifestations, comes from your womb space. And what I'm sharing in this post is that men will siphon. Well, you know what? Let me just read it. Since I'm here, since you're here, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. So I said, men aren't addicted to sex. They're addicted to a woman's power. Sexual energy is creative energy. Creative energy is sexual energy. Creative and sexual energy is driven by consciousness or lack thereof. When you engage in sex with a man, you're not just exchanging energy, you are exchanging consciousness. As the embodiment of the divine feminine, you are a receptive being, which means that any energy and consciousness that he carries within him is deposited into your portal. You receive all that he is and magnify it. Men know, even if only subconsciously, the nature of your power. This is why they are so drawn to you and so desperate to be inside of you. They do not have access to their inner feminine and can only experience creation and reconciliation through you. When they are inside of you, they dump their self-loathing into you and take your magic for themselves. This is why so many women look and feel drained in their relationships and then experience the glow up after a breakup. It's because they are no longer being siphoned from. This is also why men look like shit after a breakup or move on quickly. They lose access to their energy supply and must replace it as fast as possible. So if you choose to engage in sexual acts with the man, it should be with a man who has been properly and long vetted by you to establish his worthiness to enter your sacred portal of creation. 99% of men don't deserve to breathe the same oxygen as you, much less be given access to the most precious part of your being. If you cannot learn to be a selfish bitch anywhere else in your life, this is the most important area to cultivate this energy. Your entire life depends on it. Far too many women have learned this the hard way. So this carousel that I made, the text is actually taken directly from my Selfish Bitch workshop that I teach. And this woman who is responding with criticism to it, it's so funny to me that me saying this is equated to tearing men down. And this is what I mean when I title this Telling the Truth About Men, and the consequences of that is that it triggers this, for men, obviously it triggers this defense mode where even though they see me describing behavior that is commonly experienced from women or by women, women are responding to my content so well and in such large numbers because what I'm saying is resonating deeply with what they're intuiting, what they're experiencing, and what they are witnessing. But men will look at something like this, and even though so many women are relating to the things that I'm sharing, and they have men in their lives that they know are doing these kinds of things to women, they don't want to see themselves reflected in what it is that I'm describing. So a lot of these men see themselves as good men. They see themselves as the embodied masculine. If they're more into spirituality, they see themselves as good. Ultimately, what this comes down to is men's ego and their perception of themselves as good. And anything that you say or teach to other women that subverts this egoic idea that they have about themselves, it creates a trigger response in their body, and then they must defend it. And so the men that come after me, what they typically do is they will just insult me. They'll just say, "You sound crazy," or "This is stupid," "This is BS," "This is why single women are keeping women single." They'll say all of these things, but they never actually refute the things that I say. They can never tell me why I'm crazy. They can never tell me why what I'm saying is stupid. They can never tell me why what I'm saying is bullshit. And I ask them, I respond to their comments and I say, well, can you explain to me why what I'm saying is crazy? Can you explain to me why what I'm sharing is BS? Explain to me why it's not factual. Explain to me why this isn't true. And they're never able to give me a coherent or consistent response to that question. They're never able to do that. And I give men the opportunity all the time to explain to me why the things that I'm outlining when I'm describing behavior of men towards women is incorrect or inaccurate, and they're not able to do so. So this comment that I read earlier from this woman, you know, again, stop tearing men down to build women up. I'm not tearing men down. I'm simply speaking truthfully from a metaphysical, spiritual standpoint, how men engage with women, why women are having the experiences that they're having with men. I'm helping women understand exactly what is happening on a spiritual, metaphysical level when you're engaging in sex with a man. This is what is happening. This is why you're feeling drained. This is why you feel depleted. This is why you're not connected to yourself. This is why this man is coming into your world, because he doesn't have access to this part within himself, and he has to access it through your body, through your womb space, through your creative center. And so what she's saying about, you know, women glow up after a breakup oftentimes because they lack boundaries or overgive in relationships, she's not incorrect. She's absolutely, she's telling the truth. And that's exactly what I say in my content. That's exactly what I'm teaching. I'm saying this is what is happening in this exchange with the man. And the reason why he is able to siphon from you, the reason why he is able to extract from you, the reason why he is able to pour his self-loathing into you and steal your magic for himself is because you lack boundaries, because you lack self-love, because you don't understand who you are as a woman and you don't understand your power. This is why I teach Selfish Bitch. This is why I teach the Selfish Bitch, or I'm about to teach the Selfish Bitch Initiation, which is the expansion on my Selfish Bitch workshop. And so when women come into my space and they say these things, and in defense of men, which is so funny to me, because these same men that these women are yelling at me to defend would not defend them. They don't defend them. Go on pages of men who are saying very misogynistic, very harmful things about women, training men to teach women, or it's not training men to manipulate women, training men to abuse women, training men to circumvent the boundaries that women have. And you don't see men in these comments defending women and going all in on women. But for some reason, there's a certain type of woman that comes into my comments feeling like she needs to defend men, or she's interpreting what I'm saying as putting men down. And I'm not putting men down by speaking truthfully about the things that men do. I'm simply shining a light on the things that men do, why they're doing it, and the consequences for women, because my mission is to serve women. My mission is to serve women in elevating their consciousness, healing from wounds and trauma, and healing from the behaviors that allow them to allow men into their lives to take from them and siphon from them, abuse them, mistreat them, and cause all types of chaos in their lives and in the lives of their children. And so this idea that I am speaking negatively on men simply by saying, hey, this is what they're doing, this is what they're actually meaning when they're doing, to me, it's absurd, because men are the ones that have given themselves bad PR. Men's behavior, the things that men say, the things that they think about women, their actions towards women and girls and children, they're their own worst enemy, because through their behavior and all of the statistics, the global statistics that we have around violence and sexual abuse and mistreatment of women and children at the hands of men is what is revealing the character of men as a collective. Are there exceptions to what it is I'm talking about? Of course. There's always going to be exceptions to anything that I'm talking about. But when I'm speaking about men from a general sense, I'm speaking about it in a general sense because these are general experiences that women are having with men in all facets of life all around the globe. Like, I'm not just talking about the West. These are things that women are experiencing all over the world. And again, we have mountains and mountains of statistics and evidence to back up the things that I'm saying. What I'm doing is I'm expanding on a deeper level. I'm taking it to another plane where I'm taking the behaviors and actions that men do in the physical world that a lot of women are confused by and don't understand, and I'm extrapolating on them. I'm breaking them down to the metaphysical, the spiritual lens, so that you can see what's happening on an energetic level. So yes, he is having sex with you, you're having sex with this man. That's the baseline surface level thing that's happening in that exchange. But on a deeper spiritual metaphysical level, I'm getting into the nuts and bolts and the deeper truths of what's happening within that exchange. Because a lot of people think that when you engage in intimacy with another person, oh, we're just having sex. It was just a one night stand. And if you have a more shallow level of consciousness, then that's how you're going to see that. But on a deeper level of consciousness, there's so much more happening than just a physical act between two people. And this is what a lot of women don't get. But when I share this, when I say, hey sis, this is what's really going on beneath the surface, it hits women straight in the chest. It's hitting women straight in the womb, because they are recognizing what I'm saying as truth. They're feeling the truth of it landing in their bodies. And this is why it's so activating for the women that are listening to my content, that are watching my videos, that are reading my newsletters on Substack, that are in my DMs asking me questions, and I'm sharing my guidance and my insight and my wisdom with them. It's resonating so deeply with them as truth, which is why women are responding so well to the things that I've been sharing lately as it relates to the truth about men. And going back to what I was saying before, it's also resonating with the men and the women that are challenging me and are attacking me, because there's something in the shadow that they're recognizing either about themselves as men or as women and what they've allowed that they don't want to reconcile with. And so me shining light and speaking with conviction and truth about what it is that's happening underneath the surface, it's deeply triggering for these types of people. It creates cognitive dissonance within them because they have this perception of themselves as a good man, but then if they see me right or say something that they're actually potentially engaging in or thinking about or desiring, or they're seeing it reflected in the men that they have relationships around them, then it completely flies in the face of their perception of themselves or their perception of men and the men in their lives as good people. And this is why they have such a hard time with it. And so she goes on to say, men look like shit after a breakup because they are devastated. Yes, they are devastated. They're devastated that they've lost access to their energetic supply. That's why they're feeling devastated. And this is why men, and let me just clarify something, because I always say this in my content, and it's another reason why I get kind of frustrated when I get these responses from mostly men, but also women, such as this woman, is I'm always very clear about the type of man that I'm talking about. I'm talking about uninitiated, unhealed men. I'm talking about men who are completely under the spell of patriarchy. Personally, I believe that all men are under the spell of patriarchy, just as I believe that pretty much all women are under the spell of patriarchy. It's just to varying degrees of you being indoctrinated by that spell. But I'm specifically talking about uninitiated men. And in this post, I make it very clear that these are the tips and the tricks and the frameworks that I teach women in my one-on-one and in my group work is to help women recognize these types of men and not give their energy to them. I specifically say in the caption of this post, the type of man that you are supposed to be giving your energy or giving access to. It is the initiated man, the man that can actually hold the frequency that you're holding as a woman, as the embodiment of the divine feminine. There's a specific type of man, or the exceptions to the rule that we acknowledge do exist. But what a lot of women will do is they'll come into my comments, and there's another comment that I didn't screenshot. So I don't remember exactly what she said, but they're all kind of reading from the same script essentially. It's like, men are not better than women. Women are not better than men. I have so many good men in my life, and da 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 da. And number one, like I said, there are exceptions to the rule. However, there are far more women who are doing the work, doing the deep work that is necessary to be a sovereign and embodied human being than there are men doing this deep work. And this is not something this isn't like my opinion. This isn't conjecture. This is facts. And this is something that women in the spiritual spaces recognize. We're showing up to these workshops. We're showing up to these classes, these retreats. We are paying for therapists. We're paying for coaches and guides such as myself. We're doing such deep work, and the men in our lives are not doing the work. There might be a handful of men in our lives that are doing it, but collectively, far more women are doing this deep work than there are men. So this idea that I'm putting men down by simply saying, hey, this is who they are being, and this is who they're showing up as right now in the collective, and this is how you keep an eye out, keep your head on a swivel, maintain your boundaries and your standards so that you do not fall victim to the uninitiated man, the uninitiated masculine, so that you don't fall victim to the distorted masculine because you are in the distorted feminine, because you have poor boundaries, because you have poor self-worth, because you are in your good girl, people pleaser energy. That's why I'm talking about all of this. And as far as I'm concerned, and what I've learned and what I understand from the metaphysics of feminine energy and masculine energy and how it relates to men and women being the embodiment of these energies, yes, women are absolutely superior to men. And I'm never going to apologize for saying that, because that is the truth. Women are the creators. We are the vessels of creation. Our biology is much more complex than men's are, or men's is. You guys know what I'm talking about. I don't know the exact correct grammatical way of saying that. But our biology is more complex than their biology. We have a much more powerful creative force than men do. We have a deeper connection to the divine than men do, and we have a greater responsibility to ourselves and the collective than men do. And this idea that men and women are equal and that men are meant to be showing up with the same power and force that women are is one of the reasons why so many women are unhappy and why so many women are suffering. This is also why men are unhappy and men are suffering, is because we are demanding that they rise into a position that they are not suited for. That's not their role. Men are not the natural leaders. They're not the natural providers. Women are the natural leaders. Women are the natural providers. Your first provider, your first protector was not a man. It was your mother. When you were in your mother's womb, when she was growing you inside of her own body, she was literally protecting you within her being. She was feeding you with all of the nutrients and minerals and vitamins that her body was producing specifically for you. She is the one that brought you into this world and gave you life. Regardless of your opinion of your mother, your relationship with your mother, that is the fundamental, metaphysical, spiritual truth of your existence. And so, and I'm going to be talking about this more because this is something that I see a lot in the spiritual community when we're talking about the feminine and the masculine. There's this big push over these last several years of trying to put the masculine and the feminine on the same playing field. We are not on the same playing field. The masculine is the creation of the feminine. It is an aspect of the feminine that she externalized in order to support expansion and creation in the physical. But they are not on the same playing field. The masculine needs the feminine. The feminine doesn't need the masculine because the masculine is already, the masculine is already inherent in who she is. The feminine being is already whole. And that is what I'm teaching in my work. And so it's important for me to talk about the dynamics between men and women. It's important for me to talk about the things that men are doing and what the spiritual meaning and the metaphysical meaning and consequences of that behavior is for women and for women's children, because this is how we raise the consciousness. This is how we rise into a new paradigm where we're able to create from a place of sovereignty, from a place of community, a place of genuine cooperation, which is not what we're doing right now as a collective under patriarchy. And so much of that comes from the fact that we are lying to ourselves about men and how they're showing up in the world. We're lying about men's role as leaders. We're lying about men's role as protectors and providers. And we are taking what is inherent to us as women and projecting it onto men. And then when they can't rise up to that level, then they feel like failures. And then we see them as failures. It's because they're not meant to be in that role. And so I'm never going to stop telling the truth about men. I'm never going to stop talking about these things. Are there men out there that are doing the work? Absolutely. Are there beautiful men in the world? Yes. I have beautiful men in my life. Beautiful men in my life that love the work that I'm doing, that support the work that I'm doing, that share my work with the women and men in their lives because they see how important it is for me to speak truthfully and honestly about these topics. And so, yeah, felt really good to get that off my chest because this is something that I've been thinking about for a minute. And I'm going to continue to create content and share content around the toxic behaviors of men, but I also talk about the toxic behaviors of women. All of my work is about bringing women out of our toxicity. It's bringing us out of being people pleasers and overgivers and male identified and male centered. All of those things are toxic expressions of the shadow feminine. And so my work is all about holding women accountable for that and bringing us into a space of radical responsibility. And I've talked about that in pretty much every video that I've released over the last week. Radical responsibility. We are the creators. Therefore, we are responsible for our creation. And so for me, my work is about shining the light on these distortions because I'm not a love and light type of woman. And I see that a lot. And that's something else that I wanted to say when I'm talking about some of the distortions that I see in the spiritual community is this this bypassing of the shadow, this bypassing of the darkness. I teach dark feminine wisdom. That's what I teach. I live in the shadows. I embody the dark feminine, the womb consciousness. I'm not love and light spirituality. Yes, do I showcase that? Like when people see me, they're attracted to my light. They're attracted to my energy, my effervescence, my passion, my beautiful smile, all of the energy that radiates off of me. But the reason why I'm able to embody that and tap into that is because I go deep into the shadow. I don't shy away from the shadow. And so if you're looking for love and light spirituality with me, you're in the wrong place. That's not what I'm here for. I'm about the dark feminine wisdom, the dark mother, the primordial mother, the primordial consciousness, womb consciousness, which is all darkness. And darkness doesn't mean bad. Darkness doesn't mean negative. It just means hidden. Darkness is the void that every single thing in creation was birthed from. And that is the realm that I reside in. That's the realm that I live in. That's the realm that I teach from. And that's what I embody. And so part of that is helping women see the truth about men and how they're showing up, but also the role that we play in men showing up in the way that they show up. I don't blame men for being who they are. I love men for exactly who they are. And that's the other thing that I really wanted to say, is because I get accused of having resentment for men. I get accused of hating men. I get accused of having all of these negative feelings towards men. But I don't have any negative feelings towards men. I'm honest and clear about what it is that I see men in terms of their expression in the collective. And I talk about those things honestly. But I love men, and I love men more than most women love men. And the reason why I say that is because I don't lie to myself about who men are. I don't lie to myself about what the masculine is, and I don't need men or the masculine to be anything more than what it is. And that's what sets me apart from a lot of the other women that are in my life, in my field, the women that I work with, and why a lot of women struggle. A lot of women struggle with men because they think that they love men, but they don't. They're actually projecting ideals onto men. They're projecting an idea of who they want men to be onto men, and then they're disappointed that men don't live up to that expectation. I'm truthful and honest about who men are, and I love them for that. And one of the reasons why I'm able to be truthful and honest about men and who they are is because I'm truthful and honest about women and who we are. And I don't try to overlap those two things, because we each have value and a purpose to serve in this greater mosaic of consciousness and reality. But I'm not going to pretend like the masculine is on the same level as the feminine, because it's not. And so if you're looking for somebody who speaks that way, who believes that, I'm not going to be the person for you, because that's not the lens or the consciousness that I'm moving from. So, I mean, I feel like I pretty much said everything that I need to say around telling the truth about men and why it's so important to me, as well as addressing some of the pushback that I've gotten and will inevitably continue to get as I share more of my work and my platform rises and my platform grows, because it's just important to be honest about these things. And in order to help wake women up, I have to talk about who men are as well. Like, the more we understand men, the more we can understand our role as the creators and what we have created in men and the responsibility that we have for correcting that. And so thank you so much for taking the time to listen. This one went a little bit longer than some of my other videos because I'm just so fired up about this one. But I want to hear your thoughts. Drop down into the comments and let me know how this landed for you. Let me know how you feel about a lot of the things that I shared in this video. Do you agree? Do you disagree? How do you feel about what I said about the feminine or women being greater than the masculine or men? What does that activate in you? What does that open up in you? What does that shut down in you? I want to know how you're feeling about it, but respectfully, of course. If you're disrespectful, I will block you. But yeah, if you want to dive deeper into this work, if you want to really understand on a deep spiritual and metaphysical level more of what it is that I'm talking about as it relates to who the feminine is, and the woman as the embodiment of the feminine, and the masculine and the man as the embodiment of the masculine, how these energies are designed, how they are meant to co-create together, how to recognize when you are engaging with a distorted masculine, the shadow masculine, how to be in your power as a sovereign feminine being, a sovereign woman who is clear in her identity, clear in her purpose, clear in her gifts, and clear in the vision of her life, and how to say no to anything that does not support that clarity of vision and purpose and identity. Then I welcome you to join my Selfish Bitch Initiation, which I'm currently enrolling. That starts on January 7th, and that's going to be a 21-day immersive experience where I take you from the good girl, obedient girl, people pleaser girl, the overgiving girl, into the sovereign powerhouse woman, the selfish bitch, the bad bitch, the woman who is unapologetic in her bigness and ferocious in protecting what belongs to her in her sphere of creation. That's currently enrolling right now. It's still in the early bird pricing. The pricing will be going up very, very soon. I'm doing it without announcing it so that I can just stay committed to this container and letting the women who are activated and want to jump in, get in at those early bird prices. But then those prices will be going up very, very soon. So if you're interested in that, the link to my Selfish Bitch Initiation is going to be in the description box, and I will also be dropping it in a pinned comment below this video so that you can find that very easily. If you have any questions, drop your questions in the comments below, or you can DM me on Instagram. I love getting voice notes from women in my comments, so send me a voice note. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know if you have any questions about the class. As always, please like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I've been dropping videos every single day, and then leave comments letting me know how what I shared today landed for you and what it brought up for you, how you're feeling. And I just want to hear what it is that you have to say. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time, your energy, your attention, and I will see you on the next video.